This is the Stanton Switchback, a bike that's basically synonymous with playfulness and having a good time on the trail. And it's not just any switchback, it's the titanium version. I've been riding this frame now for about 3 months, and over that time I've taken it through big jump lines, steep techie enduro trails, and long all-day epics in the Alpine. And so today I'm going to share with you my thoughts on not only this frame, but titanium as a frame material in general, because let's be real, it's not cheap. But at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you how right now you can save over $1,000 on this frame, which is probably going to be the most inexpensive way to get yourself on a premium titanium frame you're ever going to find. But before we get there, let's go ahead and hop on the trail, and I'm going to tell you all the things that I love about this frame, as well as the stuff that maybe I wish was a little different. All right, well, I'm going to start by telling you the things that I wish were a little different about this bike, because to be honest, that list is a lot shorter. Pretty much everything about this frame I love. First things first though, you probably noticed at the beginning of the video that I have this set up as a single speed, and I have ever since I got it. I think the lightweightness of a titanium frame just makes it a perfect candidate for single speeding. But as of right now, Stanton doesn't offer any single speed sliding dropouts for this frame. They do have a bolt-on dropout system, so in theory they could develop one, and Dan's told me that he's been working on it but just been busy with other projects. But I would be stoked to be able to have sliding dropouts and then not have to run the chain tensioner. We are now following the lovely Sendy Wendy, who forgot her mountain bike shorts today, so she's wearing my gym shorts. Next thing I'm not crazy about on this frame is the seat tube length. On my size large, it's 457 millimeters. And I believe, and I think other companies like Marin are beginning to show, that there's no real need to scale up seat tube length to the same degree that you do, say, reach when you're sizing up a frame. I love the seat tube to be closer to 430, 440. Just get that seat out of the way that much more. And I think with this bike being designed as more of a play bike with the 27.5 wheels and the short chainstays that I'll talk about later, it just makes more sense that way. The third and final thing that I would change about the switchback frame is probably the most personal preference of them all. And that's just that I don't really like my cables to be internally routed, except the dropper post. And a big reason for that is I'm changing brakes and drivetrains from frame to frame often. But I don't know, like, yes, the clean cable routing sure does look nice. Ooh, a little slick. But I don't know, I just don't think it's necessarily worth it for doing your own maintenance at home. But other than that, man, this bike has been great. All right, we made it up the climb. We are almost above tree line. And the tougher part of the ride is out of the way. We already talked about the stuff about this frame I'm not as stoked on, so I think it's time to talk about the good stuff, starting with the geometry. Stanton, all over their website, describes this bike as just being a ultra playful, super fun bike, making it easy to pop off little rocks like that, and the geometry absolutely speaks to that. It's got super short chainstays that are just 415 millimeters long, relatively high bottom bracket. It's got 43 millimeters of bottom bracket drop, and a 65-degree head tube angle, which I think is just about perfect for a hardtail. Much slacker than that, and you lose, again, some of that playfulness. It's also got a 74.5-degree seat tube angle, which I think feels pretty good. I tend to like to downsize my bikes just a little bit. I'm 6'1", ride a size large, so when bikes start having like a 76, 77-degree seat tube angle, I just feel like the kind of seated climbing position is way too small. Speaking of geometry, another thing I love about this bike is that it is built around 27.5-inch wheels, which, if you're looking for playfulness, is absolutely the way to go. A lot of hardtails are now coming just exclusively with 29-inch wheels because they're faster, they have more rollover clearance. But if you're looking for a bike that's fast and has really good rollover clearance, I say you might want to look into a full suspension bike, and let's keep the hardtails fun. Now, if you do want a 29er, Stanton makes the Switcher, which is essentially the 29-inch version of the Switchback. So they've got all you wagon wheel people covered, but me personally, I'm gonna stick with the Switchback. Makes techy little sections like this a little easier to get through. Next thing I like about the Switchback, wow, that's exposure, look at that. That's gnarly. Woo! Next thing I like about the Switchback is that it has ISCG tabs and a BSA bottom bracket. So don't have to worry about press fit bearings. And if you wanted to run a chain guide or a bash guard, you don't need to get an adapter. That can just mount directly onto the frame. See if I can nail this corner. Not quite. Yo, that was a freaking little descent. Bet Wendy's gonna be stoked on that. Haha. Woo! Oh dang, look at this Switchback. All right, can I clean it? Get that skid going. Yes, yes, yes. Woo! See, 27.5-inch wheels. That would have been hard with a 29er. All right, moving on. Next thing I like about this frame is its weight. I mentioned earlier that it is titanium, and this frame is super light. It's like 1.9 kilos, which I think is like 4.2 pounds. And actually at first it took some getting used to. I'm gonna talk about that more in a little bit. The weight made it feel a little skittish, but once I got used to it, I've loved it, especially as a single speed. Dang, this is so chunky, this is cool. My first time riding here, and it's not what I'm used to riding, but it's neat. All right, another tight Switchback. Look where you wanna go, Josh. Nice. Oh, so yes, lightweight frames, man. If you want a lightweight, playful hardtail, get this guy. Makes it feel that much more like a dirt jumper because it's not too hard to build up a 25-pound bike. And the last thing I'll leave you with is just the looks of this bike. Coming from BMX, I love bikes that have that kind of raw metal look to them. So, you know, raw chromoly steel on a BMX or other hardtails. This is raw titanium, which has a cool, almost kind of platinum, more of a warmer shade than steel does. And it looks dope. The other thing that's cool with it being raw tie is that it will never rust or corrode. So this frame could essentially last you a lifetime. And if and when you do scratch it, you just get one of those Scott Bright pads and, oh, look at this. Holy crap, can I climb it? Oh, no, not quite. Oh, this trail is exciting. Oh, the climb was like this most of the way up too, and that's why I kind of stopped filming on the climb, but makes more fun on the descent. Anyway, as I was saying, wow, holy crap, brambles. I'm telling you, adventures around every corner. When you scratch your titanium frame riding through brambles like this, you can just get a Scotch Bright pad and kind of scuff that out and then use some WD-40 to polish it, and your bike's gonna look like it came off the factory floor again. And for a guy who's maybe not the nicest on his bikes, and you know, they do tend to get scratched up from time to time, that's a nice perk. So there you have it. That's everything I love about this bike, but let's go ahead and talk right now a little bit more about titanium in general and whether a titanium hardtail is the best choice for you. I mentioned at the start of the video that I also wanted to just give you my take on titanium as a frame material in general. So not exactly specific to the Switchback tie frame, but just, you know, titanium frames across the board. The first thing I noticed is just how light these frames really are. Stanton claims that the Switchback tie frame weighs just 1.9 kilograms. That's about 4.2 pounds. And that's nearly half the weight of some comparable steel and even aluminum frames on the market. So if you're interested in a super lightweight frame, but don't necessarily like the properties of carbon, if you ride a lot of rocky terrain, or you're like me and you like to jump and sometimes you have to throw your bike out of the way, then titanium really is hard to beat. The next thing I noticed took a little more time for me to recognize, and that is the strength of titanium as a frame material. And the reason it took so long is actually the weight of this frame left me a little more timid going into bigger features. It felt like such a welterweight XC type bike that I was nervous to take it off big drops or send it over big gaps. But as my confidence in this frame grew, I began to take it off of bigger and bigger features, eventually getting to some 15, 20-foot doubles and 5+ foot drops, which is just about as big as I feel comfortable going on a hardtail. And through all that, this frame's never developed any cracking or creaking. There's no dents in the tubing. The frame has held up perfectly. It looks like it did right when Stanton sent it to me. And that goes into the third thing that I noticed, and that is just how easy it is to keep these bikes looking brand new. This bike is raw titanium, and what that means is that it's not gonna rust, it's not gonna corrode, and if and when it does get small little scratches or abrasions, you can actually just take a Scotch Brite pad and kind of scuff those out, and then polish it up with some WD-40, and it's gonna look just like it did when it came off the factory. Now, one thing that I haven't really noticed about titanium as a frame material is any kind of particular riding characteristic. It's not nearly as supple or soft feeling as a steel frame. I would compare it to like a relatively supple aluminum frame, something like the RSD Middle Child, where yes, it absorbs some of that trail chatter, but it's definitely not the type of frame where you ride it and you're like continually surprised by the way it takes the edge off of some of those more blunt square edge impacts. To me, that's not really a big issue. Again, I kind of come from the BMX scene, and so even just being on a 27.5-inch wheel with an insert in there, that kind of cushions it enough for me anyway. But if you're looking for a super soft feeling frame, then I would say sticking with steel as opposed to titanium is probably the best way to go. So there's my take on not just the Stanton Switchback Ti frame, but titanium frames in general. To summarize, if you prioritize a super lightweight bike or a frame that's gonna last you pretty much the rest of your life, then I think titanium is absolutely the way to go, even given the premium price tag. But like I said at the beginning of the video, today I'm gonna help make that price tag just a little bit easier to swallow by saving you over $1,000 on this exact frame here. You see, Stanton usually lists this bike for $2,225, and if you live in North America like I do, you can expect to spend a couple hundred more on shipping. But this frame is currently on sale, the same one with that nice raw titanium finish, for just $1,335. And if you email Dan at stantonbikes.com and let him know that Josh and Wendy sent you there, he's gonna give you free shipping to North America, saving you a grand total of probably around $1,200. Now, I have no guarantee how long either of those offers are gonna last, so if you're interested in that, you should probably do that sooner rather than later. But honestly, I can't think of a better time to get your hands on a super high-end, beautiful, lightweight, playful hardtail trail bike. If you still have any more questions about this bike before biting the bullet and emailing Dan, or you just wanna learn more, please go ahead and drop those down there in the comments and I'll do my best to answer those. If you like this video, I'd also appreciate it if you like the video as well as subscribe to our channel. That way you don't miss out on any other cool hardtail content like this. And after you've done that, grab your bike, whether it's titanium, steel, aluminum, carbon, whatever it is, go for a ride, and hopefully I'll see you on the trails.